Okay. Where should I start? Ah, yes, that's right. At the beginning. So, Armored Core been around for a long while, and only in its recent titles from 4 and 5 did the blades and how they move change. Granted, maybe. Okay. Where should I start? Ah, yes, that's right. At the beginning. So, Armored Core been around for a long while, and only in its recent titles from 4 and 5 did the blades and how they move change. Granted, many people have done this, but with new melee weapons coming out, I say we should talk about it again. Do blade weapons hold importance in Armored Core? Yes. They are fairly nostalgic and they are extremely entertaining to use. I would doubt anyone who doesn't use a blade weapon because they're that much fun. Alright, let's just remember the controls for a minute. Eject. Let's see, eject. And eject, there we go. Blades. So here we have your standard side to side. And we have the double attack. Following on a horizontal sweep. Each Armored Core, the blades swing a little differently, but regardless by beetles, it's always going to be a horizontal. And for many, the fun of using blades is, well, besides the memeable bit in Armored Core 4 is blade flight, where you have crazy flight from constant blade swings and minimal energy usage. Blades are close range targets. Yeah, it's just so useful, and yet all I can think about is how the melee weapons are going to be different, new, when I have more melee weapons. And it literally excites me, because, you know, it's a prospect of new, interesting combat. Come here, Sumika. Come to the blaze. So, I recently watched a video on a man who talked about how ravens, or more like people who pilot ACs, are nothing more than slaves, instead of depicted as mercenaries of freedom. He's actually not wrong. One way or another, as a raven, you're a slave to either a corporate entity or whoever you owe money to, or even for the fact of becoming one. In Article 3, you're essentially a slave to the controller. He's the one who tells you if you fail global cortex that you die. Yeah. In Article 2, the corporation has decided, we still need you, so we're going to bring you back as a cyborg. You get no say in it. The first Armored Corps, you're literally taken in by the Human Plus program, and they waive your debt in order to modify your body for scientific endeavors. There is no true freedom. In one way or another, you're a soldier forced to fight because you have to. You didn't get the chance to make your say in the world. You lost it in some horrible, horrible way. And you have to live with it. In many ways, Armored Corps is that struggle to try and regain your humanity, while also surviving every day, making sure there's food on the table, and that you don't die to other mercenaries trying to kill you for the same reason. For food, for shelter, to live another day, not have your organs harvested, or to be prepared and on further. In many ways, the game can have a dark undertone that's pretty much hidden by the action or whatever pleasant notes or deeds that you commit, whether they're good or bad. There is always a darker truth. And while I like to think that not everyone thinks about it, I'm reminded by the few people who actually try to read that underlying message that, oh shit, this person actually knows what's going on. And I am grateful that people are actually looking out for this. These hidden secrets, the hidden truth, the actual underlying tones of a story. Why would they be important, one might ask? Well, I'm of course never going to tell you what's going on in the first place if you don't look into it, alright? It's a game where you have to sort of infer about the world around you, what your missions are, and what the operators and the random encountered people say to you. I mean, if you don't do this, you're not going to learn what's going on. You can't have that, can you? No, obviously not. So, why do anything? Why try to do these things? You might wonder. In many cases, I look at Armored Corps 4. The Raven was the test pilot. He was not a Lynx pilot, not a modified human being. He was a test pilot for the actual craft used. For the whole Kojima particle experiment, the first Raven pilot such a next, new, vast, and powerful war machine. And you can control it so slowly. It's why they created the term MS compatibility in Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer. If you are augmented or you were exposed to things, you had higher MS aptitude. But insanity was a thing. Like, it happened. I look at the Desert Wolf Amajik in his story, starting to talk about having you disappear and fighting erratically. It's almost like he was going insane. And I think that owing companies money, trying to fight to keep food on the table, might not be worth it if you're going insane, but to what end do people get driven to take on these deadly crafts, these crafts that will strip you of your humanity, rot away at your own mind and soul, your purpose? Why? Why do it at all? And you have to ask yourself, is it for a greater purpose? or so they can live each day. If I had to say in a fantasy universe, what would I pick? It would not be Armored Core to live in. It's a very bleak, very dystopian, very dark universe to live in. I don't see people living in it for fun or joy or even a good opportunity or time just to hang with friends. It's very bleak, very hopeless. No matter what good you do, there'll always be an evil to replace it. Something worse.
Elite next! Damn it, not now!
For instance, right now, I'm going to destroy a rebel organization called Linearch to put food on my table and to pay my bills for my next craft and to keep me going. And you might say, why is that a thing you would do? For money.
Damn! Are we doing any damage?
People,
Primal armor!
much like any job,
First,
you need money to make a living, to pay for your expenses. And of course, when you pilot a giant death machine, there has to be expenses for that too. Your ammo, the cost of weapons, replacement parts, all these things matter and have a value. I feel so bad. These people live such miserable lives, you think about it. Constantly in fear of others who would try to kill him, what corporations will betray him.
Just stay focused.
It's not a life you want to live. You never knew who was going to kill you for what reason. It could be that you did your job too good or too badly. Armored Core. There's even a saying in the community when you get high-paying jobs, it's a trap. And I remember being memed in a Japanese animation, sort of fan thing for Armored Core a couple years back about it. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's pretty true. Whenever a boss fight wants to ensue and it wants to kill you, or some organization, they jack up the price point for it, and they try to get you into it because high-paying job equals good payout. But why is money such a driving force in Armored Core? Well, if you have a world with an already failing economy and everyone living in bleak, terrible conditions, you want to live the good life, a better life. And if you can't do that through normal means, sometimes, or to earn your freedom, to earn your liberty, you have to fight a very dirty, very ruthless fight against your principles, against your morals, all so you can survive.
Commence mission. Destroy
Nothing
the Arms Fort Gigabase. It's being escorted by the 8th Fleet.
Is holy.
Use the VOB to close in on Gigabase. Watch out for long-range fire. This Arms Fort is a defensive stronghold. Don't underestimate its
Let's talk about Armored Core 6 for a minute. Besides it being a very dark aptitude, we already know that you're essentially a slave. You have a control collar. Now I might ask you, what makes this different from your standard Human Plus? Well, number one, your Human Plus technically has your organs on loan to the actual corporation that modifies you. And usually it'll be the one that gatekeeps this technology. Whereas links are either controlled or created by corporations sponsored as such. Let's say in the case of Armored Core 4, you had Raelianard, you had Ekbal, and you had Global Armaments America.
VOB malfunction detected. It's about to explode.
These guys would offer you a standard next, and you'd choose it. And they were essentially your sponsoring company.
What are we, guinea pigs? You'll have to close in on Gigabase using standard boost.
Now let's say
joke of an operation.
that you, for instance, were able to pay off your debt to the corporations. Would you own your craft still? Yes. Would you own yourself? Yes. But debt, like most things, accumulates over time. And in Armored Core, they never really explained how that debt accumulates. They only show, like, the cost of the machine and the money and the parts and ammunition. And that over time, you have to pay more. And your failures have dire consequences by increasing your said debt balance. And they were talking about the actual debt of having to modify you. Which always let me thought maybe you were able to pay out of pocket it as a no-name character, or not. I look up Nexus, Armored Core Nexus. Crest had its own ravens and a raven staple. They weren't not Lion Arc. Raven's Arc ravens. They were Crest Industry ravens.
Good, you're in close.
Specifically using all Crest technology.
Down 90%.
Oh boy. You know,
So that's it, huh?
they were sponsored by Crest. I look at, what was it, not Regina? No, I think it was Regina. Let's see, it had a shotgun, she had a heavy missile build, and a Gatling on the back with the Moonlight. Was it the Moonlight? Yeah, it was the Moonlight. Moonlight's a Mirage weapon.
Commence mission.
Nevertheless,
Destroy the Arms Fort Gigabase.
it was
It's
still
being escorted by the 8th Fleet.
her choice to
Use
be
the VOB
strictly
to close in on Gigabase. Watch out for long-range
a Raven
fire.
for Crest.
This arms fort is
And
a
it sounded like
defensive
she has
stronghold.
some traditional
Don't
Raven
underestimate its
teachings when
firepower.
she, comes across the Raven in Armored Core Nexus. And said she couldn't believe that there were still Ravens like that in the Raven's Nest or Arc, because the quality of Ravens sort of went downhill. Whereas Regina came from an era of hardened veterans and brutal stock, much like Genobi. Whereas Genobi was losing his mind because he is a human plus, and albeit owned by the corporation of Crest Industry. He lost control, and Crest couldn't even rein him in. That's why you had to go into Bayload City to defeat him. But would you say it was because Genobi wanted to suicide, or
VOB malfunction detected.
the simple fact that
It's about to
Genobi
explode.
himself,
Initiating
as a
emergency
modified human
purge.
being,
Prepare
couldn't
for
take it
combat.
anymore?
Those interior
If you go
bastards.
into Disc
What are
2,
you,
where you have a
guinea pigs?
remake of a mission in
You'll have to
Armored Core
close in on
1,
Gigabase using
Wildcat
standard boost. What a joke of an
actually wants you to
operation.
destroy the train, the Blacktail. And that's because it transports the technology necessary for a certain surgery, and this surgery is Human Plus. And he sort of loses it. And they had a remake where you actually got to help him defeat it. But I don't remember this completely, but I'm pretty sure in the remake one where it was the opposite side, I think you still had to kill Wildcat in some way. When I look back at Armored Core 1, there was a specific mission where you had to hunt down an escaped patient, and he had escaped into an MT, a muscle tracer. And it was one of the hover types with high maneuverability and a rifle and missiles. And there was a generator hidden, it's a golden generator, very useful, but has added features to Human Plus, hidden underneath the elevator. You're sent in to take him out because he's a danger. And he's one of the first interactions to get with the Human Plus program. Another one I would surmise as such would be Valkyrie. Valkyrie, a Raven with a sniper build and a slug gun on the back, does show the aptitude for Human Plus, although not insane yet. It could have been well on her way to be. Screwing up an Armored Core has dire
Sink Gigabase
consequences.
as quickly as possible.
And the morally bankrupt corporations have no problem messing with you. And because in Armored Core 6 we already have a control collar in us, one operated by the strange substance known as chloral, one has to assume what morally bankrupted surgery,
Gigabase has been
what
destroyed.
act was done to
Mission
truly
complete.
harness and control human beings against their will? Did it strip away our courage, our ability to speak, our empathy, our emotions? What thoughts are hidden? What is locked away from us? These are the thoughts that one must think of. Because in Armor Core, there is always a deeper meaning, but there is always a price to have for
Commence mission.
power.
Try to whittle down the enemy
And
forces as much as
sometimes
possible before the transports
the
arrive.
price for power
Several old type units are
is
blocking the road
to
out.
never starve again.
They're pretty tough for antiques. They'll take some time to knock out. Hurry.
There was a visual comic book series a while ago. I never really read it, I heard about it. But it actually depicts the tale of a wandering raven, his operator, and a fairly Mirage-centered AC design, using a linear rifle and a grenade launcher in both arms.
Transport reporting. So you're our escort today? Good luck to both of us.
Granted, I would love to see how that story went, but for what it looks to me,
We've detected enemy
it's a
contacts
typical
along our
war.
projected route. Please
Not going so well.
eliminate them.
Raven's still being used to settle disputes between corporations. And what happens to the people in between? The workers, the refugees. Armor Core,
We're
they
still
never go
reading
into
several enemy signatures along our current route.
they never go into the
Too
detail
dangerous.
of the poor people.
Changing course to alternate route.
Dang. We never get told what should happen, what will happen. People struggle a lot in Armor Core. People die and suffer. And we never see the story of the humans. But if you look throughout it, you'll always see destroyed cities, ruined culture, the loss of happiness and welfare of others.
We've detected enemy contacts along our projected route. Please eliminate them. We're still reading several enemy signatures along our current route. It may be too dangerous. Changing course to alternate route.
Oh boy. It's really hard trying to do this with this mission. So why should we human beings care about this? Well, our world's pretty comfy. We don't have as many destructions or war or carnage or terrors right now, but let's look at our actual world right now. Ukraine is fighting, Greece and Turkey are still at odds, and yes, Russia, for whatever reason, decided to start a war. War is a very complicated reason. Sometimes it can start from the words of a madman to other times a corporate need, to people's survival, to food. If you read a book, you'll hear different stories, different tales spun by the author. Some talking about a great devastation and a lack of resources such as food or farmland. I look at Armor Core and I ask, where's the farmland? Where are the people? In Armor Core 4, you start with a lot of green areas, and you, the champion of your little village as a mercenary, go out and try to earn food for the people by causing a lot of murder for corporations. Now, whether or not it was for the right reasons or for good people, that can be debated, but that's war. No one really truly wins. People die on both sides. Armor Core always brings in this ideal and challenge. Is anyone truly ever right? But what it's taught most people, or really most players, is as long as you get paid and you survive the day, it's fine. You can't really say you can't live a world without war, because much like Armored Core proves, war does spur economic growth. But is it essential for economic growth? I would say no. A game that also tackles this would probably be Metal Gear Rising. You know, it's good old Raiden and the meme senator, but let's be honest, that game has a lot of crazy screws everywhere. Still fun. Still fun to play.
Contact enemy units ahead. They appear to be large, old-type units. More than enough to stop the transports cold. You must remove all obstacles.
What should I say? We never get to see people. We never get to defend a town or a village. We never get the answers like, how do people truly live in this world? Not in any of the art books, not in any of the comics, not even any of the limited manga. We just get the usual. Mecha fight mecha. Mecha does corporate deed. Corporate deed might be destroying workers and their union rights and just establishing order in a factory or taking another company's land because that corporation wanted it over the other company and they chose you to do it. There is no freedom of choice in Armored Core, it's only the needs that justify the means. Not the needs justify the ends. Whatever you need, you must do whatever you can to get it. I look at Armored Core 5 as this, where it's literally turned into a wasteland. And people literally have to fight each other for scraps. Whether it be lost technology, to rations, to water. You have radiation areas and infected zones, or nuclear fallout, or whatever type of particulate damage happened. Armored Core is a very messed up world. And no one should live in it. And yet people do. So, what could anyone do, really?
Eradicate the enemy fleet and enemy arms fort. Use your support. You didn't bring them for sightseeing, right?
Special edition normals are still normals. Why did they hire me for this grunt work? Whatever. Those old fools will owe me after this. What a snowfest. Be sitting at home, I guess.
I look at Armored Core and I see a very unusual world.
Confirmed. Half the targets have been destroyed.
Who knows? Maybe we'll hear more about the story. Rubicon does start off with talking about the monsters.
I can't take much more of this.
The monsters of the corporation.
You can handle this solo, right? I can't always be cleaning up after people.
Useless help. Cowardly Raven. Can't even pull his own weight. Tale as old as time. That's also common. You'll always find a coward in Armored Core, one who wants to survive more. And why is that? They fear death. Death can have dire consequences to people. One day you're with your family, the next day you're abducted and experimented on. Organs have been repossessed. Or in Armored Core 5's case, you were abducted and then brainwashed.
Only a few targets remaining.
And then turned to kill those around you who you spend time with. Of course, that's only one theory I really have. And that's really about the character Artie, who is Rosary's I guess, companion,
Confirmed.
assistant.
Gigabase has been destroyed. Let's clean up the rest and finish
I've had
this.
theories. He was either a spy or he was either someone who was brainwashed long ago. I mean,
Confirmed.
who
All
truly
targets
knows
destroyed.
about that one?
Mission
Maybe
complete.
someone who actually like paid more attention than I did in Armored Core 5, but the betrayal is still there, whether it's intentional or not. Wow. I don't want to do this one. No. What future, what hope do we truly have? Hmm? Ah. I like to say it could always be worse. Our world may not be falling apart. Things could be a whole lot worse, but they're not. We could actually be living Armored Core as a reality, and that would be truly terrifying.
This is your mission.
So,
Eradicate the defensive units.
should we really
deployed in
care about the little
Limehouse
guy?
City.
Maybe not.
As you know,
But should we at
Limehouse
least
is the main
understand
base
the
of
world?
anti-establishment forces that oppose the Cradles.
Yes, we should.
We have tried to negotiate peacefully with these revolutionaries, but they have refused our overtures and continue their violent attacks.
Let me also just say that if a corporation ever tells you that someone's a revolutionary or
Commence mission.
they tried to
Destroy all line arc
they
defense
never
units.
negotiate. Corporations never do
Elite next.
in Armored Core.
Damn it, not now.
They have platitudes and they lie. Lie through their teeth. That's the tool for their trade.
Confirmed. Half the targets have been destroyed.
As the old saying goes in Skyrim,
Damn.
your honeyed words will
Doing
not
any
work on
damage?
me.
Primal armor. First, we have to break down that primal armor.
Only a few targets remaining.
Our standard weapons are useless. Where are our normals?
Enemy reinforcements confirmed.
Slaughtered, they all are.
Normals, huh? Just stay focused.
In the end, they were no match. Not sure remorse is spared for them. Believe me, people are going to probably be talking about how dark Armored Core 6 will be. They think that a future mecha will actually be fun, rain, and sunshine. The veterans know it's going to be dark and decrepit, and truly has some dark overtones.
We've confirmed all targets destroyed.
Some people might think
Mission
it's about being a
complete.
hero, but really,
Well done. Almost perfect. But
trying
don't
to
get too high on
survive.
yourself yet, rookie. These enemies were nothing to write
you are
home
no
about.
hero in Armored Core. Nor are you the bad guy. Just a person trying to live. Trying to live every life, every day, one more step at a time. Because the moment you stop, it's the moment you die. The moment you can't feed yourself, or those who rely on you. Hmm. Who knows? I've still been trying to decipher so many things from what limited information we've had. Like what type of customizations, what weapons will there be? And I would love to know what the weapons are. Love.
Lapdog.
But the thing that I always thought was interesting, that when you decide to destroy the entire rich class, the ruling class of a world, and decide to become a mass murderer,
Please accept my apologies.
something that
That
none of the
briefing you
corporations
saw
could
was
take,
manufactured. This is the end of the road
blew
for
my
you.
mind.
I think you understand why.
Well, it is what it is. Your actions were clearly deliberate.
Oh ho ho.
There's no point in trying to reason with you.
Yes, there is.
Maybe it's just an animal. Can it even understand what we're saying?
Shut up, Brody.
You think you're some kind of one-man army? You think it's your right to choose who lives and dies?
You killed too many.
Come here, you grenade-toting pain in my butt. I've lost thrust. That is a problem. This one's always a hard one. Perhaps, if we look into the human nature itself, we might be able to discern what truly it is that makes Armored Core special. Perhaps it challenges our own preconceived notions of what is right and what's wrong. It makes us think how really it is important to survive each day in and day out. There is no true great evil. There is only the need to survive. In the end, there are those who live, and there are those who die. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, it may seem pretty bleak and depressing. I ask you, what more could a person truly think about? After all, survival is important for everyone. Everyone has the right to live. But not everyone should. Such is the way as some things are. As I always like to say, choose your evils. There's always one that's worse out there. Especially in Armored Core. My God. side with the corporations and sell your soul away. Sure, that'll help you sleep at night, but maybe that paycheck will really get you through. You don't really know. No one does. But as a mercenary, you're supposed to make your own decisions, and as such, come with your own ends and means for them. Perhaps this will gain importance in Armored Core 6. Perhaps they'll actually add a decision path. Because in Armored Core, choosing your certain mission is how you shape the world. Will ultimately shape your endings. And I'm sure everyone will try to get each ending type. There'll be so many things, so many achievements, so many desires for it. And I'm sure everyone will be surprised at how dark and how bleak it is, how tough the controls are. Because these are all things heard before. No one truly expects a giant robot game to actually have dark undertones, but like I said, long-term fans know the truth.
Commence mission. Try to whittle down the enemy forces as much as possible before the transports arrive. Several old-type units are blocking the road out. They're pretty tough for antiques. They'll take some time to knock out. Hurry! The transport unit has reached the combat zone. Escort the transports as they pass through the area.
Interior transport reporting. So you're our escort today? Good luck to both of us. The route is clear. We'll proceed down the shortest route.
Units selecting shortest route.
Of all things, I'm of course excited for emblems, you know? Be nice. Do emblems again. Just get lost in making the designs. They're a lot of fun.
Down the shortest route.
Let's say for a minute.
Contact enemy units ahead. They appear to be large, old-type units. More than enough to stop the transports cold. You must remove all obstacles.
Imagine if you lived in this world, what life would you lead?
Confirmed. Transport units selecting
I don't
shortest
think anyone
route.
would live a glorious life if they lived in an actual Armored Core universe. Nothing good would come of it. Still though, I hope the game is good. Everyone enjoys what they play. Armored Core is a lot of fun. And my belief is that no matter what you do, you should always have fun with what you do. I really want to know what the story's going to be about. Because everything we've heard sounds to me like it's going to be one of those where it's like, you're the revolution. The revolutionary will die at your hand, or maybe he'll spare you and you'll lose to him. And just maybe, you might become a new symbol of the revolution in place of him. Who knows? Armored Core always changes its stories.
Units have exited the combat zone. Mission complete.
Different actions.
Well done. Damage to the transports was insignificant.
Anything's possible. Can't wait to start thinking all the theories and possibilities. It's gonna be so great. Everyone's gonna be in so much joy. And of course, there are gonna be people who are gonna be like, it's just another game. That's fine. Not everything is easy, not everything's fun to everyone, but I still hope everyone enjoys it. You know, I probably should leave it here. Armored Core is one of the greatest dreams ever imagined by the FromSoft development team, and has been a game that's been a very monumental part in my generation and my brother's generation. And I'm glad I'm actually hitting those people. You know, as a guy. I hope that the new and curious people out there, the young, who make me now feel old as a person of increasing age, get to enjoy Armored Core as much as I did with my sibling. It is by far one of the greatest memories I have, is sitting down and fighting, just shooting the shit with my brother on who is the better pilot. Fun times. To more Armored Core, to a brighter future. May Armored Core 6 really change the world of gaming. And may it be as amazing as always from FromSoft.